Some more good news keeps on rolling in for the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones sounding off on spending some money. Shavon Revel's debut, we'll discuss that. The cornerback performances as a whole. Some notable defensive back, safety, and linebacker rotations I want to get into. And we'll wrap up on Terence Steele's play with an impossibly tough matchup against Max Crosby, now in the books. Before we dive into that, we're talking good news. Let's be good to today's video. Hype the video. You love the Cowboys. Let's try out the new-ish feature here on YouTube. Hit the hype button. If you're on mobile, scroll down to the comments. You'll kind of see the little swipe option. Swipe to the right. You'll have the option to hype it. Free, simple, easy to do. And helps us out here on the Cowboys Report. So Jerry's spending. Let's discuss this here. Jerry spoke on Tuesday about paying George Pickens and Lamb and the defensive tackles and others. And he was specifically asked, can you afford to pay everyone? And instead of going into there's only so much pie, which they'll eventually come back to, I'm sure, his response was yes. Yes. And Jerry is telling the truth here. As we have discussed several times on the Cowboys Report, we've spent plenty of time talking about it, trying to educate the national talking head. Mina doesn't know what they're talking about sometimes. It is extremely doable with their cap flexibility. They'll be able to restructure as planned so many guys and be able to afford those players. Now, they're not going to be as active in free agency if they keep, for example, Kenny Clark and Osa and Quinnen and pay Pickens, or even let one of those guys go and maybe one of your DTs. I would not be surprised if we get to the combine and they go, Quinnen was our free agent signing. I fully expect, given the history, for the Cowboys to lay that out there. I will also say, and you've seen some teams adopt this approach too, there is something resembling some logic. Because the salary cap keeps on going up at a pretty strong rate, it's almost to the point that the payment or the salary cap rise isn't quite being matched by the contract rise. And with more teams being willing to put money into the future, taking on the good dead money, not that many good players hit the open market. And I think you'll see that again this year. We'll do a top free agent 2026 list, and by the time we get to the first day of free agency, half of them are going to be gone. So there is some logic, but you do kind of lose points for it when you say that every year, even if you don't have players you want to pay. So as we sit right now, what is your trust level in the Dallas Cowboys front office? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1, of course, the low end. 10 on the high end. Let's discuss one of the other debuts from this weekend's game, or this Monday's game. Shavon Revel, a solid debut as far as I'm concerned for the Dallas Cowboys. 19 snaps, all but one of them coming in coverage. Revel was good in this game. He did not really get beat all that much. 2 targets, the 1 catch, 4 yards, did commit the 1 penalty. But that was it for Revel. I thought he had a very quality performance overall. Jerry Jones said it's promising what his future can be. There was a couple times he actually even followed a tight end on the inside. I don't know how much they'll deploy that. Here's what Revel said about his debut. It felt great, man. My first time being out there in a year. A lot of people didn't expect me to play like that, but I know what I can do. The butterflies left in the locker room, they had a package for me, so I wasn't surprised to get in the game. Had to get my mind right, took a deep breath and got focused. It's very fast. At least this game, it was very fast for me. I haven't been out there in a year, just trying to dial in on the details and focus on those. I actually do appreciate Revel kind of being honest and up for, and yeah, it's fast for me. It should be fast for Shavon Revel. It would almost be a concern, or he was lying. If he said it wasn't fast, you're coming up from ECU. It's a significant jump on that front. We'll go more in depth here on the cornerback room in general, but I do hope the Cowboys continue to utilize Revel, especially in some of those obvious passing downs. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father of 2 kids, it's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. And as of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. They're an online platform that makes life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Application times may vary, rates may vary. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go back to the corners. We obviously mentioned Shavon Revel. I thought Caelen Carson and especially Daron Bland had solid efforts, admittedly, against a not very good group of Raiders pass catchers. I do want to preface that here. Carson did get picked on more than he did the previous game. 6 targets, 4 catches, 68 yards. Some of the tight end plays coming against him. Did break up 2 passes. 3 of those 6 targets went for first downs. It's actually a pretty solid ratio. But Daron Bland, I thought, was really good. Outside of the pick-6 game, probably his best game of the season. 9 targets against the Raiders, against running backs and tight ends and receivers, you name it. 4 catches, 34 yards, as many pass breakups as first downs allowed. You throw at a corner 9 times, and 2 times they allow a first down. You want to do like successful play rates? That's a successful play by your defense. This was the snap count, by the way, for the Cowboys corners. Caelen Carson actually played every single one of them. I think the final couple plays, the Cowboys sat Daron Bland briefly. Reddy Stewart played 22 in the nickel when they were like in less obvious passing downs. They kind of put Bland on the outside with Carson and Stewart at the nickel spot. And then Shavon Revel kicked outside for a bunch of the more obvious passing downs. Of note, 0 snaps from Kaiir Elam, or for Kaiir Elam. Triquez Bridges was a scratch. Elam did not get on the field at all on defense. I think that's right. I think your best options in passing downs, you can make an argument that on run downs, maybe you want to sit Revel and not, have the skinny guy be so involved in run support and play Stewart, who's very good against the nickel. I wouldn't be surprised if on early downs it ends up being Stewart at the nickel, Bland and Carson on the outside. But in passing downs, I think your 3 best options are Revel and Carson on the outside and let Daron Bland in the nickel, play in the nickel. I think that is your best bet. Now, I'm curious how much ramp up they'll give Revel. They'll probably increase it a little bit each game, depending on the matchups and stuff. But should they start him? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Let's discuss the linebackers here and the safeties. They had heavy rotations, a heavier amount of rotation than we are accustomed to. I think it was like 22 players played on defense against the Raiders. Only 1 played every single snap. They did rotate this. Let's start with the safeties here. Donovan Wilson played 48. Malik Hooker played 44. Marquise Bell was out there really more than I thought he was going to be. 27 snaps, had the interception. PFF did not grade him very high for that play because really Kenneth Murray made the play. Bell was just in the right spot at the right time. It was not a game in which I had to call out, there's Malik Hooker getting burnt. There's Donovan Wilson getting burnt deep downfield. It was very much a game. I thought that the safeties did a good job. The communication was sharp, and there weren't a lot of big plays allowed. Like Geno Smith on 20-plus yard throws was, look at my notes here, 1 of 4 with the pick. That's it. He had 1 over the middle. There was nothing on the outside. Really, like they did a very good, even go beyond 15. He hit like 3 of them. They were good. Cowboys were good downfield. Linebacker-wise, massive rotation. They did start Kenneth Murray, and maybe because of the way the game was going, they were trying to get Logan Wilson up to speed more. We'll see how it plays against Philadelphia. But Logan Wilson, 34 snaps in this game, then DeMarvion Overshown with 31, then Shamar James at 26, and then Kenneth Murray as well. I didn't have any major issues with the linebacker rotation. I would like less Kenneth Murray before, but he actually played well. I thought that was one of his better games of the season. Maybe your DTs were so good they made life easier on Kenneth Murray. Both players, in terms of Murray and Wilson, had the green dot. So they are kind of setting up, the rotation of Wilson and Overshown, James and Murray. Murray had the bigger splash play from a positive perspective, getting his hand up on that over-the-middle throw, tipping it into the waiting hands of Marquise Bell. Logan Wilson had the more obvious splash play from a negative perspective, where he doesn't move the same way Kenneth Murray does. He's a touch slow, a little bit slow to trigger, and kind of got caught in open space against Geno Smith and got beat. I don't think either guy was bad, though. There are different pros and cons. Wilson's not the same level of athlete he used to be. Kenneth Murray's instincts have issues still. Different issues if you play the Eagles when you play the Eagles next week of I don't really want Logan Wilson in space on Jalen Hurts, but I don't really want Kenneth Murray in play action looks against the Eagles. So it's give and take. Wouldn't be surprised if maybe they try to go heavy on Overshown and James, but it would require the green dot stuff to get figured out, and that seems to be the main issue for the Cowboys linebackers right now. Cowboys making changes. We'll do a video kind of breaking down what some of the confirmed ones were coming out of the game. Some of these were mentioned, the linebacker rotation, but there's some other stuff we haven't gotten into. So stay tuned for that. Cowboys have done some nice adjustments there. We'll have a video on it. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Finally, let's wrap up with Terence Steele. And look, the matchup for the most part against Max Crosby is tough. The Cowboys started Terence Steele over Nathan Thomas coming out of the bye week. They had a competition. They went with Terence Steele. Reporting was he's got the quick trigger available. And the end result was, I thought he played pretty well. He got beat a couple times. The strip sack actually wasn't his fault. They kind of did a very long delayed loop and they got lost. I think that was actually Tyler Smith's responsibility in the end. 1 hit, 3 hurries, much better run blocking game. The run blocking hasn't been as good this year for Terence Steele. If I can get great run blocking, as I feel like I did against the Raiders, again, they've got issues on defense, and I can live with, a handful of getting beat. I want to cut those pressure numbers down by 1 or 2. 1 or 2 fewer pressures, even though they didn't overly help Terence Steele against Max Crosby. I was kind of surprised by that. But overall, I thought Terence Steele, I don't know if he's going to be here next year, but I don't think they're going to make the switch to Nate Thomas, at least not yet. We'll see what next week brings.